So Warframe have added another hard mode boss with their update. This time it is the H-09 Effervon Apex tank, and just like the 60 Eyes boss in Albrecht's lab, it has a secret way to activate it, but don't worry, it's nowhere near as tedious a fight as the one in Albrecht's labs. Now, this is just a quick guide to get through this fight fast, or even solo cheesing it if you've got the right mods and I guess the right weapons. Completing the hard mode fight will reward you with the new tank, or I guess the turret, Sundali, but if you go solo with any of the hex frames like Eleanor, Arthur, Aoi, Letty, and I guess Volt as well, or Amir, sorry, you will earn the accolade glyph, which you can see my Nick's getting on screen right now. So here's a quick, I guess, TLDR. The boss fight has two phases. Phase 1, you will destroy the 8 weak points and blow up its health bars using the RPGs from the enemies that float in. Phase 2, you will smash its 3 health bars by breaking its infested weak points, which kind of look like infested snot, and then killing the enemies that it spawns at the end of each of those health bars when they grey out, because those enemies of course will heal it. Sounds simple, right? But there is a catch. The tank is a bullet sponge, it hits you with magnetic effects, it disables your abilities, and it is generally just a pain in the arse, especially in the hard mode if you're going solo. Now, you can fight it normally with friends, with randoms, or solo with a tanky Warframe, or you can choose to cheese it by stripping its armor, by breaking its weak points, and then slamming it into oblivion with a big hammer in order to maximize the weak point damage in that phase 2. Now, the cheese setup lets any Warframe bypass most of the hassle of fighting this boss, so that you can easily earn those accolade glyphs on any of the Hex Warframes. Now, in order to spawn the hard mode variation of this boss, you will first need to activate 2 hidden terminals during the mission. Collect the transponders from enemies like you normally would, except instead of using the normal terminals, you need to find 2 hidden ones which look like this, and then you need to hack them using the mini snake game. You're going to have to then watch out for the symbols on the top left of your screen to show that you've activated 2 of them. There is usually 1 terminal in each area before you break open those doors that block your progress. Make sure the symbols are active before you head into the boss arena once you smash that second door. Now, of course, you're also going to have to use the normal terminals in order to get the RPGs in so that you can break open those doors. So, once you're in the arena, the fight or the boss has got 2 phases. Like I said, phase 1, the tank will have 8 weak points, which you can see on screen right now in the simulacrum. There is 4 on top and there is 4 on the sides. They are big green circles, but they might be a little bit obscured during the fight because of the amount of, I guess, ability effects and the amount of weapon effects that will be going off once you're shooting that boss. First, you can choose to strip the tank's armor. Weapons like the Latron Incarnate are absolutely great for this, simply because the final evolution of its Incarnate form has got the ability to strip 20% of its armor based on the amount of puncture shots that it hits. Then, once you've stripped its armor, you can break the weak points with a high damage weapon like the Incarnate Latum, the Lex Prime, the Dual Toxicist. Area of effects weapons like the Latum are especially useful because they're going to hit more than 1 point at a time. But once you've broken its weak points, it will then show its health bar, which means you can steal the RPGs off the enemies that it summons in and use those RPGs to blow up the tank's health bars. Basically, repeat this for the 2 health bars until it starts phase 2. Now, in phase 2, the tank has got 3 health bars, and it's got new infested legs, and it's also got new infested weak points that kind of, like I said, look like infested snot. You can choose to strip the tank's armor again, but it doesn't really make a difference. Basically, you want to break these weak points because they will deal huge chunks of the damage to the enemy's health bars. Now, for maximum effectiveness here, you basically want to use a hammer like the Incarnate Magister, the Arca Titron, the Sampotes. The slam attacks from these weapons with large area of effect, chunky damage, can hit multiple weak points at a time and basically melt down its health bar relatively quickly. Now, when each health bar greys out, because there is 3 of them, it will then go into an invulnerability phase where it will spawn in enemies, and you need to kill these enemies because these enemies will heal the tank. So kill them as quick as possible, but to be honest, if you're using any of these hammers, you're gonna basically 1 if not 2 shot them. Now, for this video and for this, I guess, this setup, I have to give a big shout out to a Warframe player 10 called Arbitrary on the Warframe forums for sharing this setup. It is absolutely amazing, and it's one of the reasons I love the Warframe community as much as I do, is players' willingness, I guess, to help other players as much as possible to in a way, cheese things to make them easier for people to farm what they want. So I will leave a link to Arbitrary's forum post in the description of this video as well, if you prefer to read their guide. Now, it is also worth noting that you can take Spectres, you can take on Crew Call, you can spawn in the Stalker, and having a Dante Spectre in particular to give you that overguard is incredibly useful with this boss fight. So choose to bring those if you want to. They are a distraction at times. Enemies will target them instead of targeting you, which is quite nice. It gives you that little bit of extra freedom, which in turn gives you that little bit of extra survivability. Now, this is the build I was using on my Nyx Prime for the duration of that hard mode boss fight, and it focuses entirely on slam damage with Naira's Hatred, and then it focuses on shield regeneration and shield recharge, while also giving me a little bit of movement, and then it gives me shield gating with catalyzing shields and rolling guard. That's pretty much it, as well as Arcane Aegis. Now, Arcane Nullifier is optional. The tank does give out a lot of magnetic effects, so if you have a maxed one of these, then that's going to be awesome. Now, you could pop in Arcane Barrier here as well if you wanted to, or whatever arcane you prefer, but that's pretty much the build. It focuses on movement speed, slam damage for your hammer, shield gating, and of course shield recharge. That's pretty much it, and you can fit this on any Warframe build whatsoever in order to get you through that boss fight. Now, for my encounter Natron, the build itself isn't really important. What's important is this node here on the evolution, which is called Flensing Spikes, which removes 20% of enemy armor per puncture status, which basically takes just a few shots of the Latron Prime and your tank will have no armor. Now, for my Lex Prime build, this is pretty much what I use. It's based around crit chance, crit damage, while also having some status chance in there for corrosive, because the tank takes more damage to corrosive, while also having pistol acuity, which is weak point damage, weak point critical chance, and also having semi-pistol cannonade in there as well for more damage. Now, this is my Incarnon Magister build, so it is, and I've gone for slam damage, and because you've got the 2 Naira mods on your Warframe, of course you're going to be gaining 200% additional slam damage on top of that, on top of Seismic Wave as well, and because of this you're going to be able to hit multiple of those weak points with each slam, and it's going to help you bone down that boss much quicker. So that's pretty much it. That's the strategy. That's how you can get through the boss fight as quickly and as cheesable as possible, earn your rewards, and even grab the accolade glyphs for every one of those hex frames. Now, like I said, a huge shout out to Arbitrary on the Warframe forums for putting the guide up there to help Tenno cheese this as easily as possible and get their hands on those accolades. Now, if you have a different way or a faster way of taking the boss down, by all means, share it in the comment section below. I will pin it in order to help as many Tenno out to get those accolades as possible. Either way, have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.